Daf Yomi, Tractate Zevachim, page 47b. It's in the middle of an idea, so just the last line of 47a. With regard to bulls that are burned and goats that are burned, their slaughter is in the north of the temple courtyard, and the collection of their blood in a service vessel in the north, and their blood requires sprinkling upon the curtain separating the sanctuary and Holy of Holies, and upon the golden altar. And now we are on 47b. It's still in the middle of the Mishnah. The words Matana Achas Mehen Me'akeves. Matana Achas Mehen Me'akeves Shirei Adam HaYasher V'Yisod Marav Yishel Mizbeach HaChitzoin and failure to perform even one placement of their blood disqualifies the offering. As for the remainder of the blood that is left after those sprinklings, a priest would pour it onto the western base of the external altar, but if he did not pour the remainder, it does not disqualify the offering. These, the bull and the goat of Yom Kippur, and those, the bulls and the goats that are burned, are then burned in the place of the ashes, a place outside of Jerusalem where the priests would bring the ashes from the altar. And now, that concludes the Mishnah, and now for the Talmud. The Gemara says, V'nisni nami v'kibul davan b'chali sharet b'tzakoin. The Mishnah opens with a principle that the slaughter of offerings of the most sacred order is in the north of the temple courtyard. The Gemara inquires, and let the Mishnah also teach as a principle, and the collection of their blood in a service vessel is in the north of the temple courtyard, since collecting the blood is an indispensable part of the service. Why is it not listed in this clause in the Mishnah? The Gemara explains, since there is among the offerings of the most sacred order the guilt offering of a leper, for which the collection of its blood is in the hand, the Mishnah could not state this as a principle. Therefore, the Tana omitted this from the requirements for offerings of the most sacred order. The Gemara challenges, and is the blood of the guilt offering of a leper not collected in a service vessel? But the Mishnah teaches this halacha later in 54b. With regard to the guilt offering of an Nazarite brought for his purification and the guilt offering of a leper brought for his purification, their slaughter is in the north of the temple courtyard, and collection of their blood in a service vessel is in the north. Apparently, the Tana maintains that the blood of the guilt offering of a leper must be collected in a service vessel. Tanya. The Gemara answers, initially the Tana held that since collection of the blood of the guilt offering of a leper must also be in the priest's hand, not exclusively in a service vessel, he omitted it. But since it is the case that it is possible for one to collect some of the blood only in a service vessel, the Tana subsequently taught it. The Tanya this is as it is taught in the Braita to Sefta Negaim 9:2. The Torah states with regard to the guilt offering of a leper, and the priest shall take of the blood of the guilt offering, and the priest shall put it upon the tip of the right ear of him who is to be purified, and upon the thumb of his right hand, and upon the big toe of his right foot. Leviticus 14:14. One might have thought that he should take it in a vessel, therefore the verse states, and the priest shall put, just as putting the blood in the ear, thumb, and big toe must be performed with the priest's own body. So, taking of the blood is performed with the priest's own body, not with a service vessel. Yachol af lemizbeach ken, Talmud lomar, ki chatas ha'asham hu. Ma chatas te'una l'kli, af ha'asham te'una l'kli. נמצא, אתה אומר, השם מסוירה, שני כהנים מקבלים את דמוי, אחד ביד ואחד בכלי, זה שקיבל לכלי, בעלו אצל מזבח, זה שקיבל ביד, בעלו אצל המצוירו. The Braita continues. One might have thought that even with regard to the blood of the leper's guilt offering that he presents on the altar, like the blood of the other guilt offerings, it is so that he collects the blood in his hand rather than with a vessel to counter this. The verse states, "For as the sin offering is, so is the guilt offering." Leviticus 14:13. This teaches that just as a sin offering requires a vessel for collection of its blood, so too the blood of a guilt offering requires a vessel for collection of its blood. You consequently say, in the case of a leper's guilt offering, two priests collect its blood. One collects the blood by hand, and the other one collects the blood in a vessel. This one who collects the blood in a vessel comes to the altar and sprinkles some of the blood on it. And that one who collected the blood by hand comes to the leper and places some of the blood on his right ear, right thumb, and right big toe.